Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to language for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., that may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. I'm your keeper, Keeper Michael, and we return to Masks of Nyarlathotep in our Kenya finale series. So at the top of the shows, we'd like to thank you, the listener, and especially you, the Patreon supporter. As many of you Patreon supporters are seeing now, all those wonderful hand of fates are being spent, and boy, aren't our investigators lucky for now. If you'd like to check out what we have to offer, we have stuff on YouTube as well. Go subscribe to our channel and get ready for a fun spring and summer 2024. Without further ado, I will allow our cast to introduce themselves. To my right.
This is Tiffany, and I play Meave O'Shea. This is all fucked, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, either you'll figure it out or it will get figured out, one of the two. To Miss O'Shea's right.
This is Morgan. I play Lillian Lane. I'd like to thank the Patreon that gave me my successful stealth roll last episode. However, I am going into a bout of madness, and we'll see who gets killed.
I think that's a perfect segue for the man at the end of the table.
This is Jake. I'm playing Jack Doyle, and I hope Nyarlathotep can understand sign language, because all he's about to see are Dee's hands.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, sir. And to Jack's right.
This is Lonnie. I play Robert Drummond, and yes, I did see it.
Finally, at the end, we finally understand. To Mr. Drummond's right.
Hi, this is James, and I'll be playing Dr. Sigmund Tartenbach. And what shiny creature? But there it is. I see it now. Yeah, I missed it. I'm sorry.
Yes, who is very hungry and availing themselves of the vast bounty in front of them. Last but most certainly not least.
This is Alex playing Sambo, and I don't really know what's going on up there, but I'm been down with this chant. Just feeling it in my bones.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that. I'm certain that you'll get a chance to see how things unravel shortly. We're going to raise the curtain tonight in a small cliffside space on this mountain where Kwame and several members of his village are chanting very purposefully their energy into this stone. You've had a chance now, Sam, to sort of get a fresh perspective 2 or 3 different times on how this process seems to work. And you have to compliment Kwame, at least mentally, because he is doing his concert master work here. And this stone, while nowhere near done, seems to be well in hand. It isn't until there's this massive boom above you that you get a little concerned about what's going on up there. And looking up, you see that there's an enormous pillar of smoke peeling off into the darkness from the top of the mountain.
So I am at a bit of an impasse with myself, because not only did I promise to make sure that I kept these people safe, there's no one to facilitate the ritual if I leave. I can't put it on Kwame to uproot a stone slab and run it into a cave and up a mountain into an abyss, wherever that happens to be. And this ritual is going to take a time to complete, correct?
From what Meave instructed and discussed, it doesn't complete until dawn. And that's going to be several hours. And you are fairly certain that whatever is going to go on up there is going to be over far before dawn.
How fast do I think I can get this gate spell done?
You think it probably would take about an hour? Speeding up mystical work does tend to complicate things, if that can even be done. You haven't really cast a ton of spells.
No, and this would be something way outside of my comfort zone, but I'm going to reflect. I'm going to take a walk out to the ledge, and I'll take a look at the symbol, and I will kneel, and I'm going to take out my gauntlets, and I'm just going to kind of run my hands over them. And I'm going to reflect on the promise that I made at that campfire.
Yeah, you did definitely make a promise.
Protecting these people, if protecting these people means stopping what's going on up there, then I have to go. But that leaves these people exposed.
It does.
So I need to find a way to protect them. The great cats are not about. There is no wildlife here. So I gave Meave my can of kerosene.
Mm-hmm.
I still have a vacuum tube with hydrogen in it. So what I'm going to do is, so that I don't disturb these people, I'm going to give Kwame a kind of a... He's chanting actively, right? Is he able to hear me if I get close to him?
You would think so. He has made eye contact with you on and off during the process.
And then I'm going to get very close to him, like speaking into his ear so as not to disrupt his chanting or, alarm anyone. I'm going to do what I can to afford you and these people protection, but I can't abandon my friends. So you're going to see perhaps a light from down this tunnel. If something comes, cry out. And hopefully it can stand up against whatever is coming. I'm going to try to call a guardian of sorts.
All right. How so?
I'm going to go into the nasty room. Because there's lots of space there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to... you said that there was is there broken timber or anything like that around? Is there any wood about?
I don't remember there being wood about. I remember there being flesh.
There's a cage. There's flesh. Flesh will burn.
Yeah, there is a cage, but it's made of iron.
Sure. So I'm going to go to one of the piles of bodies. This is going to be so nasty. And I'm going to start a fire.
You're going to start the flesh on fire?
Yeah, and one of the ones in the back corner, because there was 3 of them, right? So I'll go to the one nearest to the cage, and yes, I'm going to set a pile of these bodies on fire.
Okay. I don't believe that's difficult.
And once it starts going, I'm going to go stand in the fire. And I'm going to summon a fire vampire.
Okay.
Casting time is 5 minutes for magic point spent. Binding takes 1 round. How long does it last, though? I don't have any information on that.
It's a summon spell, so how many magic points are you spending?
I don't really know what the situation is.
With a few exceptions, spells require a sacrifice of 1 magic point per 10 percentiles chance for success.
Oh, okay. I'll say 3.
Okay, so you're going to go after a 30% chance?
That's just for the summon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll go for 30.
You spend 3 magic points. That's 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you roll a 30% chance to summon one.
And that is a 4.
Oh, okay. You stand amongst a flaming pile of human flesh and sinew. And you watch as the bones that are nearby coalesce one after another, skulls melding and burning into each other with these mystical tendrils of essence that you're putting into this summoning. You coalesce in this enormous, multi-ocular skull rises from the pit of flesh. And it hangs in the air for just a moment before bursting into flame and slightly nodding at you.
I will reach my hand out and I will say, "You are mine now," and I will bind it.
Okay.
So this is the power roll.
Yeah.
Bonus die is just a reroll, right? It's like advantage.
Yep.
For the 10s. Okay, that is a 22 under 45.
Okay. It's a hard success.
Hard success for me.
You get the acknowledgement from this fire vampire that you are its master.
I'll point out to the hallway. They will come to no harm. Protect them until you are destroyed.
It turns. It almost oscillates. It spins like a top. And it moves out towards them.
Just to make sure that there isn't a raucous chaos, because they're not looking that way, right? They're looking the other way. the masses.
Yeah.
Like they weren't okay. So I'll follow it out just to as it's going, right? And like when it gets close enough that I know it can see them, but it's kind of out of sight, I'm going to reach out and touch it. Say, wait here. Don't get closer.
It waits right where you ask it to. The mountain shakes, and you see over top your head something that looks like a big leg on top of the mountain. It's dark. It's strangely formed, but that is a leg because that's a knee.
Well, there goes my focus. Would you like to roll now or later?
Oh, you can't actually make out what it is. I'll wait for my roll.
From across the group, can I see Kwame?
Yeah, you can see him.
I'll give him a thumbs up, and I'll point to the flaming thing, and then I leave.
You take off.
Yeah, I run.
And run some more. Back up at the top of the mountain, some things have happened. And so I want to get around the idea of using combat rounds to describe what's going to happen, because I think combat rounds are a little clunky for what we're going to do. We have a couple of bouts of madness going on. We have a couple of other investigators that have taken quite a bit of sanity loss. That said, though, what I'm going to do is go around the table and give everybody who's up there, give them the opportunity to tell me what they intend to do, what their intentions are. So some people are in a fit of blood red rage. Other people are coming up with wildly impossible plans that will likely get themselves hurt. Others of you are dealing with the sheer horror of what you have seen or what you are seeing. So to clarify, just so that way listeners at home and everybody else who understands, this creature that has crawled out of the smoke and stone that made up the northernmost portion of this plateau, this enormous creature that has been called, in size reference, just so that we're clear, its size is 285. It is enormous. It towers over everything and everyone. You heard her words, the priestess's words, that it bestrides the mountain. You can see its legs gripping the side of the plateau, and its arms are beginning to swirl and move inside to grab at things. All the while, those cultists with the panga blades are continuing to chop through their fellow cultists. And with one of these arm waves from this unnatural impossibility that stands atop the plateau, you see a white and blue image appear behind it. A mirage, perhaps? Those of you who are still within your right minds, which ain't many of you, this might look like a staircase that goes up into some other location. Mirage is funny at this distance anyway. And you can see a surge beginning of the cultists to our left as they try to press towards that staircase to follow their priestess. So now I'm going to start with Miss O'Shea, as she is first in our introductory order, and likely might have a thought or two about what she was going to do.
So since I was told that if I called upon the snakes that they will come and help, I will do that. And while I am singing, I will run towards the priestess to disembowel her.
Okay, so just so you're aware, there are many people between you and her, and the distance is several hundred feet.
Okay.
So you can. I'm not saying you can't do that, but what I'm saying is that it would be like, running 150 yards, screaming and hoping to get through a few hundred people to get to her.
Well, if I have to cut Achilles tendons on the way, I will.
Okay. So you're singing and you're arming yourself with your chosen fang.
Mm-hmm.
When you call out to your brothers and sisters below the earth to come and fulfill their promise to you, what is that? What's that like? What does it sound like? What words are you using?
I would probably be singing in Aklo. So I would probably be singing as loud as I possibly can, which I know gets close to window shattering. And basically asking them to fulfill their promise to help me and help me survive this.
Okay. You begin making your way forward. We will pan over to another portion of this plateau, one bathed in the most crimson light. And so, Miss Lane, I think the best way to do this is just for you to tell me whose heart you're ripping out first. Because when you fall into a fit of complete rage, you are not going to be tactically sound enough to point and fire a rifle or make super accurate movements.
Right. Well, my closest person is Robert. Right? Or no, you were out on... Well, he's still my closest person, right?
Robert is out on the plateau. His final action last episode was to try to deflect what was going on, gather these cultists' attention. And the closest thing to you right now is, honestly, other cultists.
But I don't have to... The red mist rage doesn't necessarily need to be directed at people, does it?
Well, yes. Yeah. You are angry with the world, Miss Lane, and you're going to exact your vengeance on the world by finding people who are nearby you and sort of releasing that rage into their form.
I will drop my rifle, and I will grab my curved blade out of my satchel, and I will run screaming right into the throng of cultists.
Mm-hmm.
About how they're evil and they all deserve to die, and I'm not going to be able to discern a cultist from one of my fellow investigators.
Nope.
So it could be anybody, whoever's around.
Okay. That seems reasonable given the rage that you're under for the next, minute or so. 10 rounds is a pretty long time. So you'll be stabbing quite a few people in that time. So Jack, if you could uncork your most impossible plan.
Okay. So this big thing is not going to be defeated by us. I know this now. I'm going to have to do some massive damage to it. And the only way I can think to do that is to lure it over the side of the cliff. So I'm going to empty my Thompson at it, screaming, trying to get his attention as I make my way to the edge of the cliff.
Okay. Yeah, in hopes to draw it towards you, close to you.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic idea. I think that scans so well with what your end goal is, which is to uncork your master plan. And here it is, thanks to Mr. Thompson. So that begins to happen, right? So the air is pierced by the very noticeable and recognizable sound of a machine gun fire. That brings us to you, Robert. What will you be doing during this time?
I am headed straight for the priestess. I want to try and cut her off at the pass. I know I'm going to be going through tons of cultists. I'm also going to try to be dodging the ones with swords. I would rather put people in their way first.
Yeah, so I'll give you a slight preview of what you'll see, and that is that you'll be able to get through probably 2 or 3 layers of your average everyday crawling chaos cultist. But the other cultists that are at the front here that are doing the slaughtering, they're not caught up in the rapture really of what's going on. They're tactically killing people as quickly as possible. And you're getting an up front row seat at when they stab and chop people's limbs off. The blood that comes out of that body is being raised directly into the air, into the form of whatever in God's name this thing is that's above you.
Okay, but we have hundreds of people here, and they're all rushing.
Many of them are, yes.
Now, probably for every cultist with a sword, there's like 4 or 5 that don't have a sword.
Probably, I'd say probably more like 10. There's not many cultists with pangas right now.
I would like to knock a hole through the wall, basically, by running through other people and knocking them over.
Okay. So I know about where you're at physically on the board, on this plateau. Mm-hmm. What I'll say is you can give me a fighting brawl roll for your potential successes. And what I'll do is I won't make any fight back rolls against you, but we'll see sort of how well you do.
We'll see if I can execute a tush push as good as the Philadelphia Eagles.
We'll see.
So my fighting brawl, I rolled a 32 over 31.
Mm-hmm.
I will spend 17 luck to make that a hard success.
Okay. What you do is, with agility that you have, you slice and dice your way through these cultists, getting closer and closer and closer. You are interdicted at the last possible moment from getting to that, like that sort of second and third level of where you need to be by an enormous hand. Enormous. The size of a wall comes through, and it grabs a handful of cultists. You're forced to dive out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
It grabs a handful of cultists and lifts them into the air. And you're bowled over by the sheer force of it. You roll as best you can. And this creature drops these cultists into a mouth just below the tongue. And you watch it feast on the cultists. But that is way closer than anybody else gets to the priestess, that's for certain. You can see her just ahead of throngs of cultists as they make their way up this staircase. That must be what it is. There's a staircase that leads to another darkened space beyond.
Did this hand take any of the cultists with swords?
Yeah, probably.
Any loose swords laying on the ground?
Not that you've seen yet. You get a chance to look for one in a little bit.
Okay.
Doctor, I'm going to ask you a very important question.
Please do.
Given what Whom is up to, which seems to be about 5, 6 bodies at this point, at least as it's rumbling through there, it's creating essentially a direct line.
Fantastic.
That you could walk behind.
Well, I like that idea. It's not going to last very long, and while it may not be the smartest idea, Doc is not notoriously known for thinking something all the way through and then doing it.
I think that's true.
He's going to weigh the opportunity or weigh the calculations that this will work versus he's doing something stupid, and then he's going to do it anyway. Yep.
Okay. Fair enough.
Besides, Whom has been has taken good care of him so far, so he's going to put his trust in the big lizard.
You know what? You wouldn't be the first person in this group to put their trust in a big lizard.
Yeah, it's true. We're just kaiju-friendly folk.
Okay, so you're following behind Whom?
I am.
Okay. Yeah, there's a little bit of no one unfortunately can appreciate, well, perhaps Meave can appreciate it, but the doctor seems to be on a stroll on the plateau as you're singing. The doctor's just walking behind this creature, ducking the, random limb that might fly left or right. Just being very cautious.
Using his cane so that he doesn't slip or fall in any of the gore. And of course, watching out for Whom's tails.
You bet. You bet. The creature moves again, just slightly. And now you see the opening. There's an opening there between its legs, which goes directly on this staircase, Robert. The opening is there, but the pathway is still clotted with cultists. There must be several hundred here that have made their way onto the staircase. And you can tell that the creature is actively trying to consume as many as it possibly can. Like both of its hands are diving onto the plateau to grab at these cultists. And that's when you start seeing little pieces of light, metal, tap off this massive creature. And you can hear Jack's gun in the distance.
Does it feel like these arms are trying to basically keep everybody away from the priestess?
No. The feeling you get from the arms is that their one sole goal is to consume as many lives as possible. It's eating greedily.
I would like to change my movement pattern.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to avoid large groups of cultists, but I would still like to try and keep headed towards the priestess.
It will slow you down for certain.
Yes.
So, in the ensuing time that passes, a couple of things happen. When you slow your movement or adjust it to make sure you're not by large groups, you have to sort of sometimes stand where you are. Sometimes you have to move farther away. Sometimes you have to do your best basically just to not fucking get eaten.
Mm-hmm.
In that time, you watch Miss Lane become a bloody mess. Doctor, at some point, you encounter Miss Lane in the field of battle, and you see who take a step towards her with its arms, and then the one single eye gets close to her, and it I guess the best way to put it would be to pirouette away from her body and continue on.
As it passes me, I gently reach out, or as it passes the dock, he reaches out and kind of pats Whom on the side. Good idea.
But yeah, Miss Lane is blood-soaked, and it's clear that she's cleaved her way through 10, 15 people at this point, and she's just spitting angry.
Would I need a psychology roll to recognize a combat fugue state?
No, I don't think so. I mean, she's flipped her lid. That's what's happened, Doctor. Yeah. She's lost it.
She has. She's crazy as a coconut. Okay. Okay. Well, does she look like she's in danger?
Yes.
Okay.
She's in danger, not necessarily from other cultists, but because some of the cultists are still chanting at this point, which is, again, a whole nother level of just wild that they're still going. But many of them have begun to move forward, even from this back to mid space that you guys are at. They're moving forward, trying to get to the next to the next level, so to speak.
Okay. Well, he will not approach Lillian, like as in, hey girl, what's up? Because that will get him shanked. But close enough that when she kind of drops out of it, he wants to be nearby, because he knows that right now she is not going to notice if she gets wounded or if she gets stabbed. Mm-hmm. And Whom is going to do Whom's thing. So he's got kind of a golden opportunity to fortify himself here and take the occasional poke at the cultist that comes by too close to her.
Sure.
I mean, he has a fairly sharp fencing blade now, so he can, ha, ha.
Yeah. I want you to make a luck roll for me, Doctor.
I would love to.
Would you?
Well, no, because I've rolled a 94 over 79.
Okay. Lillian, make a fighting brawl roll against the Doctor.
Well, poopy.
You got a little too close.
That's okay. That's all right. Doc knew it was a possibility. Also, why he had his sword out, and it's all defensive.
You'll get a chance to make what is in effect a parry roll.
I got a 96 out of 49.
No, you didn't. That's a success. Play Hand of Fate. Dr. Perry.
I would love to. 43 under 70.
Okay. So
Doc parries, and in this case, he just sends Lillian into another small group of people that he feels probably the world would be better off without.
Yeah, I think the best way in that sort of judo sense of redirecting energy, Doctor, that's where you're at. Mm-hmm. You're redirecting energy as best you can. But you get close enough to have to parry, and she looks like she'd gut you in a second.
She very much would. So Doc backs up and moves away a bit more.
Good. The ground around you as you sing there in your pathway forward, Maeve, the ground around you starts to ripple and crack.
Okay. I'm hoping it's my guys and not somebody else's.
As you continue to sing and step forward, the ground continues to crack around you until it buckles, and two very distinct hybrids come out of the ground.
Ooh, nice.
You hear their breathing and feel the body heat that they generate.
Well, then I guess there's more of us going forward.
Indeed. They don't pause in their movements, so obviously they have the hybrid lower half slither form, but you do hear one of them say with a fairly heavy lisp, "How we maybe serve you, Mother?"
I'm trying to get at the caster. It's the woman up front.
They move forward and with the intention of clearing the way. So, Sam, traversing this space is filled with different things, including, well, it looks like robes. You get to a portion of the tunnel where there are an awful lot of robes. Like a lot. And no people.
This must be the naked room.
It's not a room, actually. It's a complete tunnel. There are no offshoots.
Oh, okay.
There are fissures and there are dips and rises, but there are no antechambers or tunnels left or right.
So it's just a straight shot then.
That's right. It is essentially a stair climber the entire time.
Okay. Well, that makes my choice of direction easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess the closer I get to the cacophony of bullshit, the slower I go, because that's just how I roll.
You hear a voice in your ear as you're heading up the stairway, or this pathway. It's calming, it's soothing, it is mothering, but not in an unwelcoming way. It is Nerisse in your ear. Her presence fills an inner space inside of your chest, closest to your heart. And she says, please be careful, but please do not fail.
I guess I affirm that without saying anything. And I will let my goosebumps and my smile speak for me as I pick up the pace.
Robert, you see this thing turn, finally. After waves and waves of consumed cultists, it turns, and it puts another leg suddenly down on the plateau, one of its 3 legs. And it seems to turn its face towards the edge of the plateau, as the gunfire from Jack seems to have drawn its attention.
Head straight for the priestess. I want to see if I can find a weapon along the way.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll give you an opportunity, if that's what you want, to find a weapon. You're able to find a panga.
Okay.
A curved blade with the base, not hooks, but essentially hooks.
Yeah.
That will cost you a little time as well. Mm-hmm. In doing so, when you turn back to the stairway, all you see are cultists flooding in now. You no longer see this priestess. Now, the stairway is not that long, but you lose sight of her.
I head up.
Okay. Jack, you have a problem. Your grand master plan, that whole bout thing, it only lasts you a little while. And so suddenly you're on the side of this plateau with the depths of the Kenyan countryside beneath you. You're teetering on the edge here, and what is drawing your brain, your perceptions as hard as it possibly can, is the clicking of an empty drum in the Thompson as this creature turns face to look at you.
You know, maybe I didn't think this whole plan through all the way.
It's possible.
That's literally what Jack says to himself.
Okay.
I'll drop the Thompson. I have to pull my 45.
Okay.
This is it. I'm gonna aim for its eye and start shooting.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll happily give you, if you want to get your shots in, now is the time. I'll give you a roll for it, with the understanding that I will also get a roll.
Right, yeah. Hey, that's a 15.
That's good.
Yeah, so it's an extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what that means?
Yep.
That's 5 to 7 plus 12.
Okay, so 19.
Yeah.
Okay. You deal some damage to it. It is going to whip its face tentacle around and attempt to crush you with it. I mean, it's a face tentacle. I got to use a face tentacle.
Well, right. I mean, I would.
Is it a face or a tentacle?
Yes.
Okay. That is a very good roll. So you can dodge.
I'm dodging.
You don't have the ability to fight back with a pistol in your hand.
Okay, that is an 8 under 89.
Okay. I rolled better than you.
Okay.
So I'm going to deal you damage.
Okay.
My God, he's still rolling.
All right, so the base damage is 45.
Okay.
That's just the base.
Mm-hmm.
I think you actually might luck out because I don't think I get the damage bonus on the face tentacle. So it's just 45 damage.
Okay.
You have various ways of soaking damage. You have armor, so
Right.
the armor goes first.
We'll take that right off the top.
37.
In a row.
We made jokes about it.
So 37. So that means you have, after the armor, you have what, eight incoming?
Yes.
Okay. So you take 8 damage.
Oh, I knocked off my feet.
You are flattened.
Yeah.
I think it's reasonable at the edge. That plan would have put you right at the edge of the
Mm-hmm.
plateau.
Right. Let me roll luck.
Yeah, why not? Roll luck.
Ooh. That's 73 under 79.
Okay. You stay up. You get planted by a face tentacle. Face down.
Yeah. That was a terrible plan.
It's at this point, this massive being does something no one is expecting. It moves. And it moves down the mountain. Its massive form climbing down Mount Satima.
Shit. We're fucked. I'm going to try even harder to get to that caster.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have sight of her. That's the problem.
I'll just start cutting people.
It's just a lot of people are being butchered. Lots of people. At this point, Lillian, you begin to come out of your cloud of rage. Doctor, you watch Lillian sort of begin to deflate a little bit. It's slow at first. She starts taking deeper breaths. The rage starts waning. Robert, you're still up front.
Mm-hmm.
Are you following these cultists in?
Yes.
Okay. You will reach the bridge and begin making your way in. It will effectively put you out of this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Maeve, your brethren, your children are here. And they are forming a wedge around you to continue moving forward. This creature, this 13-foot tall human creature, is also beginning to wane in its strength. And you can see that. Oddly enough, Doctor, it seems almost like Miss Lane and Hugh are waning in the same way, except that Hugh's getting smaller.
Doc moves over to assist Miss Lane because he knows that once her strength goes, it's going to go. So he puts himself into a near position when she becomes rational again, but keeps an eye on whom, and if it can make eye contact with whom, kind of gestures like, come over here.
Mm-hmm.
Pats his pocket.
Okay. You pat the pocket. It almost like a dog after a really long walk just sort of slides over closer towards you until it returns to its very tiny form.
Doc scoops it up, puts it in the pocket. Breast pocket, somewhere close. Maybe in the inside coat pocket where it's safe and warm.
Okay.
He's been taught that apparently is where you keep small reptiles when you carry them on you.
Seemingly enough, yes. So this scene up here breathes for just a moment. Lillian, you come back to this place called Earth. And much like a scene out of a bloodied battle, you are coated in blood and entrails and people. Your hair is thick with fluids. It sticks to the side of your face. You have to rub your eyes to get the blood out of your eyes. And you see that blade in your hand. And the toughest part of the blade image is that there are little places on your index finger and on your thumb where you can see cuts have formed from you using the knife so much. Those assembled have returned to their senses. Minus you, Robert. You're crazy enough to have gone in.
I'm still yelling and pressing forward. So.
Okay.
I'll just yell out, it's going after the ritual. We have to stop it.
Yeah, I look at the doctor. What happened?
You were processing your anger in a very healthy way. But we will talk about that later, my dear. We should probably move to somewhere safe now. Doc helps her move to somewhere where there's at least cover.
Okay. Yeah, Doctor, you see two enormous figures from the past. These hybridized creatures that are pushing forward with Meave behind them. And they're trying to get to wherever these cultists are going.
That will help, definitely. And this, as they're traveling through, does that leave us a fairly good access way back? Like a fairly clean walkway?
Yeah.
And by clean, I mean figuratively.
Yeah, clean is a real figurative term here. You could get back because there are no longer people behind you anymore.
Right. I imagine that literally it looks kind of like Woodstock 96.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. Doc attempts to avoid the worst of it as he helps Lillian back to, as I said, a safer place where she can at least rest for a moment and is not in immediate danger of being eaten.
Mm-hmm.
By good guys or bad guys.
Okay.
Because the line keeps getting very, very thin and fuzzy there.
Robert, you reach this bridge.
Mhm.
This bridge made of glowing stone. It's not suspended by anything. The stairway leads up. There are no trusses.
Okay.
There are no supports.
Mm-hmm.
To walk on these stones would be by faith alone. Not even giving it a second thought?
Yes, I am giving it a second thought. Do I see the priestess?
No, she's deeper in now. So the stairway moves into... It makes a pathway into another cavern. It sort of bridges a gap between the plateau and this next space.
You know, an idea comes to me. I don't have to believe in the plateau, in the steps. But the people who I run across certainly believe in them.
It does seem to be.
And they're packed in to the gills, right? Basically, shoulder to shoulder,
Yeah, for the most
step
part.
by step. I want to crowd surf if I can.
How would you like to do that?
Well, they're all completely, absolutely focused on going up the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Knock them over like dominoes. Somebody will fall forward, that person will fall because somebody will be landing on them, etc., etc. Because we got to stop this.
Okay, so I think for me, that's probably going to be more of a strength roll than it's going to be dex.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're sort of trying to force your way.
Yep.
And then to use them as like a climbing assist, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah.
All right.
That is a 20 under 65.
Okay. Yeah, you get on top of somebody's shoulders and sort of push yourself forward and then land and just continue to grab shoulders and hair and heads and anything you can to get on top of the situation, to get around the bottleneck.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't take terribly long before you probably hit the middle point of the stairway.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is an enormous push from behind you. Like you feel a surge of pressure behind you, and your legs go up in the air, and you surge further forward. And that's when the actual crowd surfing starts.
Mm-hmm.
The problem being is that you no longer have control of your momentum. Something else is pushing behind you.
It's okay. I'm just trying to get to where I can see the priestess before I do anything.
Certainly. So for your sake, Miss O'Shea, your children are, in effect, using their enhanced strength to form a wedge to push people off the stairway. They're trying to clear a path for you.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, they are too.
Yeet them as far as you can.
Well, they're not throwing them. They basically have locked arms and are pushing people left and right, off the stairway, off the mountain, etc.
Okay.
You do see a naked man surfing on top of some of the bodies in front of you.
Okay.
So, Jack, where are you going next?
That's a real good question. Because it's climbing down, right?
If you're trying to go off the mountain after this creature, yeah. The plateau side and the ritual side are not the same.
No? Okay.
No, they're not.
Well, that's something at least.
Yeah. And it seems to be making a pretty rapid descent towards the ground level. It's not something you could even keep up with if you wanted to.
Okay. All right. So there's no even reason to...
Well, and given its size, like, its steps are enormous.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll just leave it to it's whatever. I want to go to the side of the stage.
That's just the front of or the north portion of the plateau.
I just maybe there's some ritual stuff that I can use to destroy or something. I don't know.
You came here completely clothed, right?
Yeah.
You feel something in your chest hot, and it hurts.
It's the crystal, right?
It must be.
The stone. Right, I pull it out. It's the first time my stone has ever done anything.
Your stone is white and glowing. It's almost like it's on fire.
The stones! I hold mine up so they will see it glowing.
Yeah, it's easy enough to see for anybody who's out there.
Can Doc fish this out?
Say I can't probably see Jack's stone, but is mine even moving?
You haven't felt it in some time.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, if you fish yours out, Doctor, yours is also seemingly activated.
In this case, Doc wraps his hand around it and...
Lillian, what are you doing? After you've come to?
How many cultists are still around?
Not many. You're not really sure where they all went to. There was this bolt of lightning. Maybe it destroyed a bunch of them. There's a ton of remains here.
And the priestess is no longer...
You don't see her.
I don't know where she went or anything.
No idea.
Because I was in a bout of madness.
Correct.
It's probably not the best idea.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a last resort idea.
Mm-hmm.
I know somebody that can maybe help,
Do you?
but I don't know if I can find them. So I am going to pull my King in Yellow out of the satchel.
You don't have your satchel.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
I kept it with me.
No, you don't.
Did I drop it by the throne?
You don't know where it went.
Oh, well, then I'm going to go friggin' look around for my satchel.
You are coated head to toe in blood with a knife.
Yeah.
And that's about all you got.
Oh, well, then I'm going to look for my satchel.
Oh, fair enough.
Spotted?
No, it'll just take you some time.
Oh, okay.
You begin searching for
I
something.
do.
Robert, you get pushed off eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And you sort of unceremoniously land inside this cavern space after the stairs. It's very dark in here. There is a single point that you can see light-wise in the middle of this space. It's an enormous glowing pedestal. It's not terribly high, but it is definitely glowing with blue and white light. You see that there are many cultists in here.
Mm-hmm. What are they doing?
Many of them are continuing to move forward, and they're joining their brethren, some of whom are kneeling nearby.
What's on the pedestal? Can I see?
What's on the pedestal?
Mm-hmm.
You can't rightly see exactly what's on it. There's a figure on it. It's a male figure, not made of stone, made of flesh. And he seems to be bringing people from the crowd to the pedestal, and he appears to be beheading them. And people are lining up for them to be the next one. Eagerly. And it doesn't take him more than a few chops to get through the spinal cord, the bones, and then his blood-soaked hands are reaching for the next head to bring up to this stone. You are surrounded, roughly speaking, by, from what you can see, 50 to maybe 70 cultists who've made it into this space. This is a deep, deep cavern. There are also pillars, 6 of them, that seem to hold up the space. These pillars are probably about 10 to 15 feet in diameter. They also have people chained to them. There's a lot to this space. There's just not a lot of light that your eyes can draw from. You can hear the lamentations of the people in the chains.
And it's really, really dark in here, right?
It's pretty dark, yeah.
I move to one of the pillars.
Okay.
They're chained up with iron chains.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you go make me a spot hidden roll?
22 under 65.
Fantastic. Now make a sand roll.
72 out of 79.
Well, you just keep making all these rolls. Aren't you lucky?
Oh, not for very much longer at the rate I'm spending it.
So you're going to take 2 points of sanity
Okay.
On a loss here. What shakes you to your core when you see these columns up close is the fact that there are faces that are melded into the side of these columns.
Mm-hmm.
And you watch as the people this person who's chained up to one of them,
Mm-hmm.
you watch their skin move as the column begins to very slowly shift left, like counterclockwise, and it brings part of their skeletal structure into the column. And you hear the pop from their shoulder. The column is eating them.
Jam my sword into the chain
Okay.
and attempt to pop it off.
Really? To free this person?
Yep.
Okay. It takes a little work. You jam the sword in, and that chain eventually busts loose.
Mm-hmm.
When it does, you realize that this person who's chained to it, is no longer needing the chain to hold them to it, as the major portion of their back is likely grafted into this column now.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll leave you there, though. Sam, you reach a bloody plateau.
Well, all right. That's progress. Rather than look amongst the bodies for my friends, I'll see if my friends are standing anywhere.
There are very few people on this plateau left standing. Your friends do appear to be, maybe some of your friends appear to be part of them. Whatever happened up here is awful, beyond the word awful and horrific doesn't qualify anymore. You see Lillian hunting amongst the bodies, finally plucking out a small leather package from underneath one of the corpses. She's probably 30 or 40 feet from you.
Do I see Maeve?
No, you do not see Meave.
Is Lillian the closest to me then?
Yes. Up ahead, further on, you would likely make out the form of the doctor and perhaps Jack as well.
And what else do I make out up here? Said stairwell and whatnot.
Stairwell. In the middle portion of this plateau to the left, there's what looks like a throne, although a bit primitive. There's some torches over there. There's an awful lot of corpses. And plateau is just stained with blood and human remains.
And I don't see Maeve or Robert then, right?
You do not.
Then I will run down to Lillian, and I will, as I do so, I will yell at the doctor. Well, at both of them, basically. Where's Maeve? Where's Robert?
Doc gestures kind of vaguely in the direction he last saw one of them. He doesn't even have time to differentiate which one. It's a very Rosencrantz and Guildenstern moment.
Jack?
I didn't see them. I think they went up the stairs. Look at your stone, the one given to you on the train.
I'll pull it out of my pocket. It's 4-size old rock, yeah.
You have to fish it out. When you fish it out, it's hot like a baked potato.
I have no idea what this means, but if they're alone up there, we have to go. What the hell? I don't even want to know what the fuck happened up here. Look, if they're up there, we have to go. We have to go now.
Okay.
Maeve, you enter the cavern space.
Okay. And I see the guy on the pedestal beheading people.
You do. So I'll give you a couple of notes that are sort of primary to the things you'll pick up.
Okay.
Your children can continue to cut a swath through, but they seem to hesitate in this room a little bit. They initially move to your left and your right to try to get some cover from these columns that are in the room. You can tell that they don't react very well to them. In the middle of this space, there is that, sacrificial stone, which looks identical to the type of stone that you have on your person.
Oh. And my stone isn't reacting?
Nope.
Okay. Wait, so you're saying the pedestal is like the same stone I have?
Yep. Looks exactly the same.
Okay. I'm going to have one of my children take out the guy that's beheading people because I think that's part of the ritual.
Okay, fair enough.
And then me and the other one will continue searching for the priestess.
Okay. You set your plans and begin to move deeper in. Robert, you reacting to the column and everything, the horrors that you saw there, your vision is interrupted. The peripheral part of your vision is interrupted by an enormous snake person moving into the room.
I'm behind the pillar.
You certainly are, but you see the snake person.
Yeah. Does the snake person see me?
You're not sure. They seem fairly intent on moving directly forward, likely towards this small stone dais where people are being brutally executed.
Let them fight. Do I recognize? I mean, I don't
Nope.
think I've ever... No.
No, you sure if you've never seen this before, Robert?
Wow.
But while we're here, why don't you make a sanity roll?
Sure, why not?
Just chipping away at the mountain.
74 out of 77.
Wow, that's fantastic. I'll say it's just 1 point of sanity.
Ooh.
It's a hybrid. The nasty part about this part is on the upper portion, they're muscular and humanoid enough that you can recognize somewhat humanoid facial features. On the bottom, they're an enormous snake body. They're also anywhere between 8 to 9 feet tall.
And that's why I'm over here and they're over there.
That's correct. But the last point that I'll put on here for you, just the cherry on the top, is that right to the just behind the first one who's making his way towards that dais, you see Meave walking with one of these things. Team outside on the plateau, we're moving towards the stairs.
Yes, double quick.
Okay,
Yeah.
quick. These stairs are something one could only take on faith. There are no supports underneath them. There are no ropes. It is simply a stairway into darkness. But I have a feeling it won't slow any of you down. You ascend these stairs, and in the darkness, we leave you. So we'll stop there for now in our Kenya finale series. I very much look forward to what happens next week. Thank you, and good night.